Hey everybody, today we are working on a 2007 Chrysler 300. This is not the Hemi version, this is the normal base model with just rear wheel drive and the 3.5 liter V6 in it. Today we're going to be doing the front brake pads and rotors on it, and also I'm going to be explaining pretty much for beginners on all the little things you'll have to do if you wanted to do your first brake job. So the first thing we're going to do is get the jack under there, find a good spot, and get the jack stands ready. Alright, so got the jack up there. Now you're going to want to make sure that the jack is on the frame rail. The plastic is covering a little bit, but there's a metal frame rail up in here that you are going to jack that on. You cannot jack that up if it is on the bottom of the radiator or something like that. This is actually a frame rail that it's lifted up on. And now I am going to set the jack stands where they need to be, so that even if the jack fails, we still have somewhere to put for the car to fall down onto. There's one right there, and then we will get the other one that's over there a little ways. Go. Now we can lower it down just a little bit onto those jack stands so that we know everything is nice and sturdy on there. Alright, so this is a 21 millimeter. You can use an impact or a cordless impact like this, or if you're using hand tools, you're going to want to come through here and loosen these up just a little bit so that they're not tight while the car is still on the ground, so that the wheel doesn't spin. Because you won't be able to loosen these if the wheel's spinning, unless you have power like this. Alright, now we're going to take this wheel off, put it aside. If you don't have jack stands for some reason, take that wheel and put it down under there. That way it's protecting you from, you can use it as a jack stand. If it falls, it'll fall onto that and not your face. So yeah, these brakes are pretty well shot. One thing, I'm going to take a look at them, how they look really quick before I take it apart. That one's pretty down, right down. Okay, so yeah, now we're going to turn the wheel all the way to the right so that this is easier to access. Alright, so we got that. Now we're going to get the sockets for the to remove the caliper and the caliper bracket. So we're going to use a 13 millimeter to remove these two the bolts that are holding the caliper on, and we'll see, because sometimes these will turn and you'll have to hold them in order to get it loose, but these are coming loose just fine. It's nice that these are moving right here. That means that the caliper slides that are inside there are free. One problem you can have is if these are seized in there, you have to remove them either with heat very carefully, and, or WD and a combination of that and heat to get those out, because they have to be able to slide unless it can mess up your brakes. So I'm going to put this one back in and I'll show you why. So if you take this out first and you try to loosen this bottom bolt, you'll notice that it comes out like that. So in order to keep that from happening, we're going to put this back in just a little bit. This is what kind of holds it. And then we can now remove this bottom bolt, and then everything will come out just fine. And that caliper slide is also sliding good, which is what we want. I'll show you more here once I get this taken off of what I'm talking about. Okay, so now that I have both of these bolts out, sometimes the caliper is still stuck to the rotor. It doesn't want to come off. So if you pull from the back side and pull this way, you can try to push the piston in of the caliper, and it loosens it up on the rotor for you. You see how it's coming out now? Other times, if you can't do that, you can use a screwdriver. So you take this screwdriver, you put it in here, and it pushes that piston back when you pull up like that. Now it's going to come out nice and easy. Boom, just like that. So you don't want to leave these hanging very often. This is a very light caliper. So you don't have to worry about it because it's also holding right here. But if these are heavy, you don't want to leave them hanging like this because it can cause issues inside of the rubber hose. There's an inner lining in this rubber hose, and it can come apart if it's stretched too much. And when it's stretched too much and that comes apart, it can actually block your brake fluid from flowing, causing a very weird brake issue where the brakes still feel fine in the pedal, but it's not stopping correctly. So, as you can see, these pads are worn down, ready to be changed. And this right here is a squeaker. So what this does is this rubs on your rotor and makes a squeaking sound to tell you that these brake pads are just about done. This guy ignored it. So we get the other one off. Now we're going to take a look at these brackets here. These are probably going to have to be replaced with new ones. Just not super important to take them off right this second, but I'm just removing them right now. Yeah, these are old. So, and then these are the caliper slides. Now, these are supposed to be lubed. See how it's nice and lubed in there? And greased every time. Even if it's still good like this, I'm still going to re-lube these because these have to be in good condition. And then it looks like a 19, oh, I'm not going to guess yet, but it looks like a 19 in there that we're going to have to remove to take the caliper bracket off. So it's actually an 18. So we're going to get this back here. See, it just kind of comes apart at that point. Just set down gently. You don't want to swing that. This will come off. Sometimes you got to snag it with a hammer. If you're going to snag it with a hammer, it's okay as long as you're going to replace the rotors, which we are doing today. So now we're going to clean up this bracket and we lube these up real quick, and then we'll move forward. So when you do the rotors, you got to make sure you clean them off with brake clean. And you can't leave any oil residue on here because it can mess up your brakes when you first go to use them. So make sure you do this to each rotor before you install it, no matter what. If you get handprints on it, make sure you wipe them off too. Okay, so this is the other side's caliper bracket. And you see how I have the slide in the vise because this is solid, it won't move. And if you try to put too much force on that, it'll break. So I'm going to have to torch this and then try to get this to turn. So that's what we're going to do right now.
This is the same shit I had. So you probably throw this out. Let's go see if I got mine.
Yeah, there's the brake pads are sitting right there on the ground.
Brake somebody dropped somewhere? Oh, I don't know. Brad, what do you want to do with it?
You can set the brake pads right there, but then he needs to bring the other ones.
The other ones?
There's a box of them
the
sitting.
wrong ones. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the wrong ones are sitting there. You could set them down back there. Are they over there? Thanks a lot, Keith. That was really fast. I appreciate that.
You're welcome, man. That's the only way to drive.
Awesome. Just put a fucking number 3 on the side of your truck.
I like taking my truck because then they can't gauge how fast I'm going.
Right, with those little sensors on there, huh? Thanks again, man.
Hey, you're welcome, bud.
See you later.
I think this is the new one. Yeah, but yeah. I don't know where Chris was. You can't find this.
Yeah, I can. Okay. Hold on one second.
What you got going on?
Fucking caliper slides are seized.
Oh.
And they break really easily, so. But I think I got it. Yeah. I'm actually making a YouTube video right now. So you see, I got it out without even fucking up the rubber boot. Now we're taking the caliper slides right now and using a wire brush to clean them so that they, when we put them back together with the, because I have to do this to the other one, get this hot and get it out. But once we get that other one cleaned and this one cleaned, we're gonna grease it and put it all back together. Once you get that hot, you're gonna wanna very gently try to move it. Try to turn it, because if you push too hard, it can break it, and you don't want to break it in there. In this one, it's really hot, but it still feels like we might have to get it a little hotter in order to free it. So I don't want to push too hard on it and break it. Alright, so I got that. I'm going to try to move it again. I got it nice and hot. See if it'll move. That one's still really in there. Okay, so I got it glowing red. Oh, come on. It's gotta come loose sometime.
No, it's seized. Penetrating oil. Just flip it upside down.
So, finally got these out. Took a lot of torching, but we got them out. And we're gonna have to clean these really well and put new grease on there and rubber boots and everything. Yep, so this is what they should look like after they're cleaned. Yeah, nice and clean. Then we're gonna grease them and put them back in. So we got those out. It took us a while, but you might have to buy new pins if they give you too much of a problem. But if they break off inside here, that's bad. Okay, so you don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that these can go in nice and easy and slide. I'm going to grease them and put these back in there, and then we can put the brake pads on the caliper and put the rest together. But as you can see, I'm going to be very generous with the grease. So I want a little bit to stay on there and then a little bit to stay in the hole to kind of fill up the hole where all the corrosion is. Goes in just like that. Alright. Gotta make sure these can move freely. We're gonna lube this one up a little bit. Get a little extra on there. There you go. Alright, and then you got these nice and good, and we're gonna move on to putting the clips in and then load the caliper bracket. So I'm gonna clean this with a wire brush real quick just to make sure it's all good. Clips, and they kind of hold each other in like that. Boom, like that. And I'll take a little bit of the grease. Don't need that much. Let me put a little bit inside here for the brake pads. Careful not to get any on the inside of the caliper so it doesn't transfer to the rotor. And we're going to take the pads. There's little tabs that you got to push down in order to get these in. I'll try to show you a little bit better with the other side. It's alright if they fall out. You might just have to put them in once it's in the car. But if you can see these tabs right here, they will need to go down in order to get your brake pad in. So if it's not going in, it's because those tabs need to be pushed down a little bit. So, got the rotors. We did clean them, remember? And we're going to put them back on. Sometimes I'll take a lug nut and I'll spin it on to hold the rotor in place while I install the rest of the brake parts. This will hold the rotor right in place for you so that you can take your loaded caliper or caliper bracket and slide it over and then put in your hand tighten your 18 mil bolts, and those go in like so, and then we will tighten these and put on the brake caliper. I got the brake pads on there. I'm going to hold them tight, and I'm going to slide this on there. Okay, first thing we got to do before we do that, I almost forgot, which I wouldn't have been able to put it together had I not done this. We're going to have to push this piston in the caliper in order to get it to fit over our new brake pads. Take these channel locks and squeeze this so that the piston goes back. If you don't have channel locks, or if it's too hard, you can use a C-clamp, but these ones are actually pretty easy to push in with just channel locks. Yeah, these ones are pretty tough. You might want to use a C-clamp on these, make it a little easier on yourself. And there it is, all the way in. And it'll easily go on here. You have to push this in a little bit, and then push the other one in, and it slides right on there. So I got the last two bolts going in. I got the 18 mils tight on the back of the bracket. You got to tighten those up before you put this on. It makes it a lot easier. And you put these all both on by hand. Make sure they line up nice. And then you'll tighten these. You might have to use pliers to hold that. And then those will be all the way on. Alright, so now we got the brakes on. Everything's tight. We made sure that it's tight. We had to hold this right here in order to tighten those. So now we're going to put the wheel on after we go back and make sure everything's tight. So those are tight, caliper slides, and the two 18 mils in the back are tight. So now I'm going to put the wheel on. And with heavier wheels, you don't pick them up with your back. You use your knees and your arms as a fulcrum, and you can lift the wheels like this. And it's a lot easier for little guys like me to actually get the stuff on without hurting myself. So I'm going to put these lug nuts on, all of them by hand first, because you don't want to put them on with the impact and cross-thread them on there. So after you get them all done by hand, you come with your impact. And you see how I'm going in a star pattern? You always want to go across from what you just tighten. So now I'm going to go up here, and then I'm going to do one more time around. That's good. Alright, so that's it for this car. We're going to do a couple other things. We're going to touch up some paint on it and whatnot, but we're done with the brakes. Make sure you take your jack stands out and then lower the vehicle very safely. Obviously make sure all your wheels are torqued, and then before you take off with your car, make sure you pump the brakes a few times to bring back brake pressure, because we just pushed the calipers, the pistons in the caliper all the way back, so there's a little bit of room that they're going to need to close up on. So make sure you do that. Like and subscribe, and I'll be making more videos soon. Just stay tuned.